This is KiwaniTalk. KiwaniTalk is a public information program brought to you from the facilities of WDHS at Dearborn High School usually, but today we're at the Dearborn Administrative Center in Conference Room B, and we are very pleased to have as our guest tonight Sandy Butler, president of the Dearborn Symphony, supporter and promoter extraordinaire.
You're very kind.
So
Thank
nice
you.
to have you, Sandy.
Thank you very much.
And you have been a very loyal supporter of the symphony for a long time. Give us a little of your background of the symphony, kind of bringing us up to date.
I got involved through what was before people knew it by WADOS, the Women's Association for the Dearborn Symphony. And then, of course, it's now called Friends of the Dearborn Symphony. The name changed maybe about 8 years ago to better reflect what they do. People have a better understanding. And also, there are both men and women in it, so it wasn't just women's association. So I started there, and they would, of course, have the annual home tour, and for a couple hours once a year, I'd be a docent in one of the homes. And then I just sort of got more involved, and I became president of WADOS, and then by virtue of that, I was on the symphony board, and then just became, you just get sucked in deeper and deeper. And actually, I think I've been president of the symphony. This might be my 21st season as president.
You are such a good representative of the symphony. You always are so positive, and also the symphony must have had a lot of growth during this period. Also, I'm sure the symphony wasn't the organization in size, the number of musicians and so on in the early days, and it's grown that way too, I imagine.
I think the number of musicians, probably they did have the same number of musicians when it started. This is our 57th season. And in the beginning, the principals were all members of the Detroit Symphony. And in fact, Nathan Gordon, who was principal violist of the Detroit Symphony, was the conductor, and he was there for 25 years. But the level of the orchestra, the level was not as high. The Detroit Symphony, they gave strength to it. But now everybody in the Dearborn Symphony is at a very high level. And we still have some, on occasion, Detroit Symphony members who will sub, not as principal, they'll sub in a section, and some of our members sub with them. But we have a much higher level orchestra, and we are the premier community orchestra in Southeast Michigan. And people say we need to find a different term than saying community orchestra, but we serve the community. We serve the greater Dearborn, Dearborn Heights. Of course, we go all the way, people from Ann Arbor, Grosse Pointe, downriver, all come to the Dearborn Symphony.
And it's such a beautiful, the Civic Center auditorium is such a beautiful auditorium.
Oh, we're the envy of everybody.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we are the envy of everybody because we have a beautiful facility. And the musicians like our stage because they can hear each other from one side to the other, which means they can play better together when they can hear each other. Yeah. So we have a wonderful stage, and the audience loves the auditorium. And
they also like the parking.
Yes.
You can park very close by and walk in. You don't have to, pay extra for parking.
And it's safe and well lit. After all, it's right next door to the police station.
Yeah.
So it's a very safe venue. It's free. And as you said, it's very convenient.
And you do have some wonderful and very interesting promotional programs. I know you've had dinners and before shows and stuff like that.
That's dinner and a concert. Yeah. And with your tickets, it doesn't have to be season tickets, but with your tickets, we have a number of restaurants who participate in dinner and a concert. So on the night of the concert, you call up the restaurant, you make a reservation, say you're with dinner and a concert with the symphony, and you get 20% off your dining bill. Mm. And those restaurants include La Pita, the Dearborn Inn. Mint 29 just signed up with us. Oh, okay. We have the Henry, the Tria at the Henry, and Andiamo. And
that's so nice because all of those restaurants are within 10 or 15 minutes of here at the worst traffic situation, less most of the time,
Right.
And so that makes it even an evening where there isn't a lot of stress for transportation. You go to the restaurant, then you come to the concert, and and it's all very relaxing.
And it makes it for a complete night out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the first concert this season, we're doing something special. We did last year as well, or for a few years. This year, we're calling it Uncork the Season. And we're in Studio A at the theater between 6 and 7:30. We're having a Meet the Conductor. So Stephen Jarvie, and I'll explain about our Conductor Search, it'll be a meet and greet. And we're having a fabulous buffet by Biblos. And we're really thrilled that, once again, Village Ford and Les Stanford are contributing sponsors to that party. And for that night, actually, Beaumont is our opening night sponsor.
Okay,
so it's a wonderful evening. They get a wonderful meal, fantastic meal, and one cocktail is included, and then we'll have a full cash bar.
Yeah. Jane and I went to your Pops concert, I think it was last spring, and you had the young lady, well, she's still a young lady to me, who was, I believe, Miss Michigan.
About 20 years ago.
Yeah, about 20 years ago. That's young for me, you know. And that was fascinating because she's also played violin in the orchestra for quite a few years.
But she's a fabulous singer.
Yeah, she was wonderful. It was very nice.
She's really a showman.
Show person.
A show person. Yeah. A showwoman. Yes, right.
Yeah. That was a very nice show. We really enjoyed it.
Well, everybody loves the concert with Rich Ridenauer.
Yeah. So we're going to see him again this year. I saw his picture in the folder.
We are, and we're doing something a little bit different. Rich is actually, he knows lots of groups. He's connected with a lot of groups and people. So one of the things orchestras are doing is bringing in different groups, and because of his connections, he was able to get this group that ordinarily would be way outside our price range, but he was able to get them, called Music of the Knights. And the music is the music that's written by the three knights, Sir Elton John, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber, and Sir Paul McCartney. Okay. So all your favorite songs by those three artists will be performed that night. Well, a lot of your favorite songs. I don't think it could be all of them. But.
Well, I know Music of the Night is in the lyrics of Weber's.
Well, this is Music of the Knights, K-N-I-G-H-T-S, because it's the three knights.
Okay.
So it's a play on the words.
Okay.
So they're a Broadway act,
okay,
and they sell out everywhere they go. So it is included with a season subscription. Mm-hmm. So we did that as a real enticement for people to get a season subscription this year.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Well, you have a folder on the upcoming season in front of you.
I do.
And the thing, explain what's going on this year and what's happening with the directors this year.
Well, it's a very exciting season. It's a season of excitement and opportunity for a future with fabulous musical performances. After 21 years with Kipros Marcoux as our music director, we are now doing a conductor search for our next music conductor.
I meant conductor, not director, but I'm sorry.
The what?
I meant to say conductor, but I said
No,
director.
it is music director.
Okay.
Music director and conductor, but the music director would kind of oversee the entire season, may not necessarily conduct, for example, Rich Ridenauer. Rich is really our principal Pops conductor, and it's been probably 12, 15 years. But Kipros was our music director, so he would oversee the whole season.
I see.
So it is music director and conductor.
Okay.
And so we have this exciting season where we are doing a conductor search. And we started out last year asking our musicians, soloists, anybody who had any connections to give us recommendations on people that we should invite to audition with us, to be candidates for the position. So we got about 25 recommendations, and we sent letters of inquiry to those 25 individuals, asked and said that they had been recommended as somebody who might be interested and who would be really good for this orchestra. And we said if they were interested, and we hoped they were, that they would send in, give us, of course, cover letter with their intent, their interest, resume, videos of them conducting, because when we had to decide who we were going to interview, we needed that. We wanted to also have sample programs that they had done and references. So we got all of that material. 22 of them responded.
Oh,
and so, and they, I was really impressed by the very high level. And these are people from all over the country. The furthest was LA, and who was very, very interested in coming. It was a tough, it became a very, very fine lines between deciding who we would invite and who we would say, well, we'll think about it. We'll see what happens. So the search committee reviewed all the materials, and they had a set of criteria, about 7 different criteria, and ranked each of the conductors based on, gave them points based on the materials that they submitted to us. The musicians were, of course, concerned about the way they conducted. Would it be easy for them to follow? Did they like just the way they conducted? We were looking more as an audience viewpoint and thinking, well, did we find that person exciting? We looked at their programs. What did we think about their programs? So we evaluated everybody, and we added up all the points, and we came up with 3 people to invite to audition this season by each conducting a different concert.
And now, did they participate in selecting the program for their night when they come?
We actually developed the programs, but
Okay.
we said to them that they were free to. But we had a conductor's choice, so we all wanted all of them to at least pick one piece.
Okay.
But if they would like to alter the program, we said, please feel free to do that. And so there's been many edits. I forgot to also say we interviewed them all. So
Sure.
the 22 candidates we interviewed 11. We narrowed the 22 down to 11. We interviewed 8 of them via Skype because we really couldn't fly them here from all over the country. No, and then we did have 3 that were in person.
Yeah.
And so that's how we came up with the 3. So we had 25, 22, 11, seems like I should say hike, and then
Yeah.
three
Three.
that are going to audition this season.
Yeah, it's quite a process. It's
Oh,
quite
absolutely.
a process, And of course, some of the people that you don't want to burn any bridges. You want to maintain a good relationship even with some of the people that weren't chosen. Because
and
who
we
knows?
did. We wrote very nice letters to all.
They all could potentially be guest conductors at some time in the future.
That's right.
Possibly,
That's right.
Yeah, and so you want to keep that information all available because you never know when you're going to need to make a little change
Right.
for a programmer. So that's fascinating. And personnel arrangements are always quite a lot of work, and they take a lot of care in how you handle them. Yeah. Well, we've got about a minute before a break, and after the break, I think what we'd like to do is maybe go through the season's programs one at a time, and kind of introduce our viewers to that, and then also talk a little bit about each of the potential conductors of the future.
That would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So join us again right afterwards, and we'll take that subject up after the break.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes, Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Hello, we're here with Sandy Butler, president of the Dearborn Symphony. And Sandy, what we'd like to do in the second half is have you introduce us to the program for this year's shows.
I would love to, thank you. So we start out on October 19th with Best Hits of the Russian Masters. And our conductor is an auditioning conductor for that night, and that is Stephen Jarvie, and he's from Ann Arbor. So it's a spectacular program that begins with Glinka's Overture to Ruslan and Ludmila, and we're doing Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet Fantasy Overture, and then we finish with Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, which is just a very lush, gorgeous piece. It's beautiful music. By the way, the opening night sponsor is Beaumont, so I need to say that. But so that begins on October 19, and don't forget on Cork the Season, pre-party in Studio A. People can sign up by going to our website or
So
calling the
now
office.
is the party is like an additional, I mean, when you just check that you'd like to go to the party, you're coming to the
No,
concert? Or
it's
is it-
$35.
Okay.
$40. I don't remember.
That sounds pretty
What does it say
reasonable for
here?
a party.
What do we have? It's $40. It's $40, and we're doing a combined party concert ticket
Okay.
of $60.
Okay, oh, that sounds
So-
great.
Oh, it's great because the food, Biblos is catering it. We're, a cocktail ticket, one cocktail's included, and there's a cash bar. You meet the conductor. There's going to be a little entertainment. People last year at our Blue Party had a spectacular time. They wanted us to do one before every concert, and we thought, well, we didn't think we could do that. But then we move on to November 9th, Friday, and we're doing a night at the opera. And that's a celebration with Friends of the Opera. They're celebrating their 30th anniversary season. So that's a very exciting evening. And Suzanne Acton is going to conduct, and she's with the MOT. Vanguard Grand Chorus is going to sing. We have, I think, 6 opera stars, arias, the overtures, the interludes, all the things that people love. Nessun Dorma, those who remember Pavarotti singing that, I mean, what a beautiful piece that is. People have wanted us to do, we did a night at the opera probably about 10 years ago, and people absolutely loved it. So it's a very exciting evening, and tickets are selling fast. Then we move on to February 15th, when we have an auditioning conductor, and that person is Jason Altieri, and he's from Las Vegas. Very exciting. And that's classical greats. But it's a very exciting program. These auditioning conductors, they have different ideas. And, they're tasked with growing the audience. And people have changed. People's ideas about what they want are a little different. And they have different ideas about growing the audience. So it's very exciting. And then we go on, I did tell about our Super Pops concert with Rich Ridenauer on March 29th when we do Music of the Nights, KNIGHTS. And that's when we do the music of the 3 nights. Andrew Lloyd Webber, Paul McCartney, and I said Andrew Lloyd Webber, Paul McCartney, and who am I forgetting here? And Elton John. Okay, yeah. And Elton John. Okay.
Well,
so,
my mind goes to the lyric, but you said KNIGHTS.
It's because it's the nights. No, and
NIGHTS,
these are Broadway people who have put together a group, and they take it all over the country, and they sell out wherever they go. And Rich will be there.
Yeah,
so of course that's a hit.
I can believe that would be a sold out.
Yes,
sold out
yeah,
night.
it will be.
Yeah.
We finish the season on May 3rd. And that's, again, with an auditioning conductor, and that is Nick Palmer. And he lives in Kentucky. He conducts he's principal conductor of a number of orchestras across the country. Yeah. Actually, all of these people are. It was a little different for the past 21 years when we had just one conductor for 21 years. That's highly unusual.
Well, conductors are often take on guest commissions on a regular basis.
Yes,
That's
right.
not unusual with conductors. Is
No,
it?
no, no. Leonard Slacken from the Detroit Symphony did that. He was conducting all over the place. But on May 3rd, we have Nick Palmer, and that's when we do also our side-by-side with the Youth Symphony. They play one piece with us. And his suggestion was to do John Williams' Cowboys Overture. And Tim Seabour of the Youth Symphony was very excited to do that. So that's going to be a very, very cool concert. And then we have our Youth Artist Solo Competition winners who are always spectacular.
And they play with the orchestra that night, or
Yes.
some of them do? Yeah. Okay.
Well, the two winners
Okay,
of the
the two
Youth
winners.
Artist Solo
Okay.
competition, they are very high level. You would be astounded. You've been there. You know how good they are. I mean, we had Ben Beilman, who then is now an international star. We've had other people who, go on to major careers.
Yeah. Well, I had mentioned earlier we do have a granddaughter playing the violin,
Yes.
and it's amazing what happens, from the age of 10 to the age, 13. She's 14 now, and but it's just amazing how their skills advance, in a few years.
Well, and I suggested that she audition for one of our scholarships, but then you said she lives in Windsor, so that's not going to work real well.
No, but maybe sometime we can get her over here for some kind of a little guest performance, someplace.
If I may, I do want to tell the audience, the people who are listening, please be in the audience, because the audience is going to be very critical to this whole process of selecting the next music director.
Now tell us how you're going to do that. Explain.
Well,
how
following
that's
each
gonna be done.
concert, we're going to ask them to, we have about maybe half a dozen questions. And we'll ask them about how they felt the conductor interacted with them, there's specific questions about how they felt about the conductor. We'll distribute with your program, you'll get a paper survey, or it can be completed online. And that's really critical because we want to grow the audience. It's very important. The musicians are equally important because they have to be able to follow the conductor. So they will complete a survey. Board and the search committee are very important because we have to be able to work with the conductor. So then the search committee will get together and they'll review again, just like they did when they determined who we should have as our auditioning conductors. They'll get together, they'll look at everybody's responses, and let's hope this year, and I believe we will, come up with a new music director because the candidates we have are very outstanding, and every concert will be different. It's going to be very exciting and very different, so everybody needs to come.
So folks need to get in the act here and come out and help pick the next conductor for the Detroit Symphony.
The Dearborn Symphony.
Dearborn, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrible?
Well, it's...
Excuse me.
That's all right. I'll forgive you. But anyway, they do need to come out and help us pick Dearborn has a very fine orchestra, and all top communities have had an orchestra. It's been very tough for many of them. They've gone out of business. But fortunately for the Dearborn Symphony, we have wonderful patrons. We have supporters, sponsors like Ford Land and Dearborn Sausage Company. We have a number of patrons like the Kiwanis Club of Dearborn. So you have to get your peanuts right now because, and I always get my peanuts. I bought for years from Frank Bewick, even long after he was gone. Now Al Holmes is my...
Well, he's on the board, is he not?
Yeah, Al is on. We've always, I think Kiwanis, probably, sometimes we've had up to 3 members. And right now Al is, and we are very grateful to Kiwanis for all your support. And I know you support, because we have scholarship program, we have the Youth Artist Solo Competition, we have programs in schools. After all, we need to have the youth because we need to cultivate a new audience, and we also have to have musicians.
Sure, and those young people, it's amazing what happens with a child if they've never seen a musical performance before and they're exposed to it. Some children are just turned on completely by it, and it changes their whole attitude about music.
Well, one of the things that Kiwanis is a big sponsor of is Send a Child to the Symphony.
Yeah.
All of Dearborn's fourth graders are invited to attend one of two performances sometime during the year, and Kiwanis is a big sponsor of that program. And we get letters from those students because their teachers, want them to write thank you letters, and some of them say, I wish my mommy or daddy could have been there. I just loved it so much. And there's so much energy. You can feel it's palpable. It's like they're not even sitting in their seats, but they're very attentive and engaged. So, I mean, we do a lot with youth, and we thank you for the ability to do that, as well as our patrons, as well as all of our other programs.
Yeah, that's one of the more pleasant things that service clubs can do is help a little bit in areas like that, especially with young people, because I was telling you, I think, how many young people we had at our meeting last night, more than regular members, Well, Sandy, we have about 2 minutes to go here, and I wondered, what do you see for the symphony down the road? What do you have any? Are there any thoughts or plans? I know you have the new conductor coming, and but do you have anything to say about that?
Well, we hope to see a lot of outreach into maybe even other communities. We would like to grow. We want to remain a very vital and integral part of the community. We want to survive for another 57 years. We're in 57 years. So please, everybody, come out and hear the Dearborn Symphony. And what was that commercial about, we're not your father's, was it Oldsmobile or whatever that commercial was? Come out and hear the Dearborn Symphony. It really is very exciting.
The performances are wonderful. They really are wonderful. And again, you couldn't have a better auditorium for it.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay. Well, we're down to the last minute, and I wanted to thank you for all the effort you've put into I like to think you're kind of the heart and soul of it, because you've put such an effort into it, and it shows.
Well, you're very kind,
It really
Ray.
shows.
It's easy. It's fun. It really is exciting because we have so much support. We have the support of the city of Dearborn. We have support from, we're an independent 501c3 organization, so we are completely self-supporting. But we do have a wonderful relationship with the city and the mayor. We have a great relationship with the schools. I could go down the list of all of our advertisers. And, for example, Mint 29 is just a new one. And Casey said today, I do this because he always did when he owned Lapita, and now he owns Mint 29. I like to do this because I like to support the community. And we have people like Cherry Hill Pharmacy, Stephen Bernard Jewelers, who've been there for years and years and years. And I could go down. There's a lot of people who have supported us for many years.
Sandy, we're there. We've used up our time, but I want to encourage everyone to come out to the symphony this year. It's a great experience.
Can I tell them to visit our website at
Sure.
dearbornsymphony.org?
Absolutely.
And they should also call 313-565-2424.
We'll put it on the screen a couple times.
Thank you.
Thank you. Join us again on KiwaniTalk soon.